Hey guys, Beth Rist here, Ironton, Ohio. I haven't set up my remote control, so don't judge. I'm here with somebody who wants to tell their story. I simply give people a platform to explain their situation and what happened to a loved one. So here we go. I'm going to have to scoot the camera up here, and it might be a little out of focus. Hey, honey, you want to say your name, or you don't have to?
Yeah, it's Jeannie Norse. And my son, his name was Shane Michael Lewis.
And he was how old, honey?
32 in 2021 when he passed away.
And 2021, where at, and what time, and what happened?
It was
Take your time.
We were spending the night with my cousin, and we were getting ready to move that day. And he went to bed, and I found him the next day.
And where had he been the night before?
He had stayed at a friend's house the night before.
Okay, you don't have to mention the friend's name, but do you know where he was?
Yeah, I pretty much know where he was.
Okay, so then when he got home, how did he act?
He was nervous, kept saying, you know, he just couldn't be there, and he didn't want to be there. That just like he was nervous and like knew something was wrong. Like, I don't know. He just knew something was wrong. I don't know if someone had said something to him. I know that the police were bothering him there.
Okay, so I know you're not afraid to say which department.
No, it's Ironton.
Okay, and why were they bothering him? Did he have a past?
He did.
Nobody judges somebody's past, especially your child.
Well, right.
Okay.
I don't care what he did. He was still my baby.
Exactly
You
right.
know. He did, but he was doing better. But the police thought he knew of a robbery that happened on 2nd Street.
At where?
I'm not sure exactly.
Okay.
I mean, it was somewhere around behind the Jab.
Okay, so
I think
the police thought he knew, so they were harassing him to tell him who was.
Right.
Okay.
They wanted him to tell who it was and you know the particulars about it, and he wouldn't.
Did he ever talk to you about that?
He said that
You don't say any names, just
no. Someone had asked him
someone from
previously.
where?
Someone from town.
Okay, not a police officer.
No, not a police officer.
Okay.
Had asked him to go in this house with him, and he had told me he didn't want to go in it. And I guess it was an abandoned house
In Coldgrove or Ironton?
in Ironton.
Okay.
Well, this guy just kept aggravating him till he went.
This
And
guy is a
the guy-
friend, a stranger, or
No, he thought he was somewhat of a friend,
okay.
but it was, I don't know, it was a
That's
friend.
all right. Move on.
maybe.
Go ahead and tell your story.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, they got in the house, and Shane asked him, said, well, what are you wanting me to look at? And he said, it's over in the corner. And Shane said he wasn't there a half a minute, and he seen a flashlight, and he said, well, I'm glad you're done, because I'm ready to get out of here. Did you find what you was looking for? And an Ironton police officer said, I sure did. So they were already
But
in
we
there.
ain't gonna mention names, but you know who it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they arrested Shane, and the guy took off.
And the charges were
They actually, I believe, indicted him for being in an abandoned house. I don't know what the...
oh my goodness. Okay.
Yes.
You know how many years that homeless people or anybody's been living in abandoned homes?
Right.
Oh my God. Let me read this one thing to you, okay? Shane Michael Lewis, June 9th, 1989, December 16th, 2021. Shane Mike Lewis, 32 years old, of Ironton, Ohio, passed away Thursday, December 16th, 2021, at his residence. Shane was born June 9th, 1989, in Ironton, Ohio, a son to the late Gary Michael Lewis and Jeannie Lynn Norris of Ironton. Shane, is this upsetting you, honey?
No,
Okay,
I can make it. I can
okay.
make it.
Okay, Shane attended Rock Hill High School, was of the Christian faith, and a carpenter by trade. I'm sorry. Shane lived spending time with family and friends. You all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In addition to his father, he was preceded in death by two grandfathers, and it tells their name on and on and on. I want you to look at this young man here. I know you'll have to zoom in, but I don't care. You'll have to zoom in. I'll be posting on my community page. So let's talk. Let's go back and talk about when the EMTs came in there, and you had to express to me earlier that you already had given him Narcan.
Yes.
Okay, how did you have Narcan on you, honey?
I just I
You was
try
always
to keep
concerned?
one. Yeah,
Okay.
I try to keep one, and
For anybody that
yes,
okay.
and I have several friends that was nurses at the health department and places, and they were always, here, take this in case you would need it, in case you'd see somebody out or something like that, because anymore you do.
Right.
And Shane, he said he had Narcan. He said he was tired of seeing his friends that he had known years before laying dying and nobody helping them. So he had Narcan. He packed on him for them.
So obviously, if he was impressionable about how he was concerned about his friends, why would he take his own life?
Right. Yeah. He
Okay.
did.
So let's lead up back to the EMTs got there, and then the police got there, and what happened after that?
Well, the EMTs got there. I had already pulled him from the bedroom.
Okay. Is anybody else there?
Yes.
You don't have to say no names.
Yeah, my cousin was there,
Okay.
and
Male or female?
Female.
Okay.
And a couple of her grandkids were there.
So kids witnessed this.
Yeah, the kids. Yeah, they did.
And
Yeah,
I bet that how old were the kids? You don't have to say their names.
like 11, 10. Well,
Are they still
probably
having
about
issues with
8.
this today?
I would think.
Yeah, you would.
I would think.
Okay,
they
so
would.
didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Go back to when you administered Narcan. How many minutes after you administered Narcan did the EMT show up, and what happened? And I asked you earlier, was he foaming from the mouth? And you said he had a little dribble
Right.
coming out. Okay.
Right.
Did he defecate or anything like that?
No.
When you pass,
No.
you
No.
urinate on yourself. And
No, he had not done any of that. No, none of that. When I gave him the Narcan, the thing is I had someone else get in his bags for the Narcan that he had, and it was
Okay.
missing.
So here's a young man that carries Narcan, and to your knowledge, before this happened this night, and we know his past. It's no big
Right.
deal. I don't judge, and nobody,
Right.
anybody in their right mind would not judge anybody. Everybody's got their own
Right.
dysfunctional thing.
Yes.
But what happened? When did you know he had passed? Where were you at the hospital? What happened? Did you ride with him? Anything like that? Can you tell me that?
No, I didn't ride with him. I don't think they'd let me, to be honest.
Who's they?
The paramedics.
Okay, that's your son. You can ride with him to the hospital.
Right. Yeah, you would think.
Okay, so go ahead and tell your story. I don't mean to interrupt. I just want
that's okay.
answers to questions.
Oh,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
I had already drug him out into the living room, and the paramedics got there. They didn't do anything. They stood around. There were 6 of them. They stood around.
It's a big response.
Yeah. Pretty much just.
It's in Coldgrove, right?
No, this was in Ironton.
Okay.
Yeah. They was pretty much standing around talking about the weather, and I asked them.
While he was laying there,
Yes.
and they didn't administer any help.
No. And
What did you ask them?
I asked them. I said, "Are if you're not going to help him, give me the Narcan, and I'll give it to him. I'll take care of it. If you're just going to stand around." They all just got real quiet, and they just looked at each other. And I said, "Please don't tell me that 6 of you showed up to an overdose call without Narcan."
Okay, who
Now-
called the police? Do you know?
I sent my cousin. She
Okay.
called the police. Now, the reason it was called in as an overdose, that was me, because we didn't
You
know
were just
what
concerned
happened.
about if he was going to live, right?
Right. We didn't know what happened.
The night
So-
before, right?
Well, we didn't know what happened to him that morning because I'd just seen him 2 hours prior.
Right.
So I didn't know what happened to him. But in my mind, she said, "What do we tell him?" I said, "Tell him it was an overdose. Maybe they'll hurry up and get here thinking they can save him. And they'll get here quicker." That's why we said overdose. We really didn't know what happened.
Right.
So I had a Narcan, and I didn't see where it would hurt anything.
Well, no. Yeah.
in the shape he was in, it wouldn't hurt anything, so I gave it to him. I felt a pulse, and I seen his eyes move under his eyelids. And when I talked to him, he would move his eyelids, which the paramedics told me that that was just wishful thinking, that I really didn't see that.
What did you see?
I know what I seen. I know I felt a pulse, and I know I seen his eyes moved when I'd ask him questions.
So right after you did that, and right after you said that, what did the paramedics do?
It took him a few more minutes to get there. Of course, it seemed like forever. I'm not sure how long it was, because I've
So
not
the
gotten
6
a
people that were
report.
there didn't have Narcan, so they called
No.
somebody else.
They called someone else to bring them Narcan.
I think that's a protocol for every bus to have a Narcan.
Well, I would think.
Mhm.
I would think. This day and time, it'd be stupid not to have it.
Exactly.
But they said they didn't have it. They just didn't do anything. They just stood there. They got a little bit upset with me because, I said,
That's your child.
right. And I said, surely you showed up to an overdose call with no Narcan. Did you not think you was going to need it? And
How long was it from the EMTs getting there to the police got there? And
I
how
don't
far
know.
were you from the police department?
We were,
Just a guesstimate.
yeah, we were, I don't know,
That's
8
okay.
blocks
That's-
maybe?
Okay.
If that?
That's not important yet, but
Yeah.
we'll be in court. But anyway, so when they got there, 2 or 3 of them, you don't have to say their names.
2 of them.
Okay. And then what happened?
Honestly, they went into the room where he was.
After his body was removed.
Right.
I don't mean to be
Right. No.
harsh. You know,
No,
you know
that-
what I'm
yeah.
saying. Okay, so
They went in there
to look in for drugs.
just to check the scene, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Because while they were in there,
They checked the scene while his body was in the floor.
no, they don't.
Okay.
Yeah, the ambulance,
Oh,
the
my goodness, see
paramedics
what
had
I'm saying?
already taken him.
Okay.
Really, the only thing they were worried about was phones. Shane worked on phones for people. He's like a little.
And
Mr.
they
Fix-It.
thought that he had knowledge of a robbery, and they
Yes.
wanted information that they didn't care that he was passed away.
No, not at all.
Okay, so how long did he lay in the floor before they removed his body? I don't mean to be harsh, but it is what it is.
Well, I was taken outside.
By who?
If I remember right, they asked my cousin
Okay.
to take me outside.
Okay, so then you had to witness him coming out, and I'm going to be graphic.
That's fine.
You had to witness him coming out in a body bag.
No, I think it was probably worse. They had let him lay in there. And they took me out, and then they hooked him up on some kind of machine, and it looked like he was
Who's
giving
they, honey?
the paramedics.
Okay.
The paramedics hooked him up on some kind of machine, and it looked like he was giving himself chest compressions when they brought him
Did they
out.
shock him?
No.
Okay.
And I thought they were going to. I thought that would be what they done. It just nothing
Right.
happened.
So now I'm not judging anybody. I just want the truth about things, right?
Right.
So anybody that actually didn't have Narcan tried to revive him with CPR or anything like that?
Me?
You? And they watched?
No.
Okay.
They wouldn't let me back over to him.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, so how was it like to just you got the police report, right?
I did. Yes.
Okay. And it said accidental overdose,
Yes.
and it was done and over.
Yes. No.
Right.
No drugs found on the scene.
No drugs found on the scene. And you got the
Accidental
autopsy
overdose.
report?
There was no autopsy.
Okay. We'll dig into that later.
Yes, that's interesting.
So there were, yeah, it is. It
Mhm.
is interesting.
Yeah.
So, do you know how many accidental overdoses they claim to be when people can give somebody a hot shot or anything like that? Have you heard of that here in Ironton?
Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
believe I've lived it.
Do you?
I believe yes, I do.
You think this is what happened
I do.
to your son?
I do.
Okay. So, I mean, what did you do after that? I mean, you went to the hospital, right?
I went to the hospital. My daughter and her boyfriend and me were there. They had Shane there on a table, and we were getting to say our last goodbyes.
In the where at on the table?
St. Mary's over here on 141.
On the stainless steel table, or in a hospital room?
It wasn't a hospital bed.
Was it the morgue?
I don't know.
Okay, it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah,
I'm
he
sorry.
was
I don't
just
want
the
to
only
upset
one.
you.
No, that's okay. He was the only one in there. There was 2 nurses standing up against the wall. Michelle, at one point in time, just collapsed into the floor and had a hold of my leg.
And remind everybody who Michelle is.
Michelle's my daughter. She's my daughter, Shane's older sister.
And she's how old?
She is now, she'll shoot me for saying it. She's, I think, 38.
Oh my God, she's a youngster.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she's had trauma from this also, I'm sure.
Oh, so much. Now, while she's holding on to my leg, crying and wanting her brother back, a police officer barges into the room.
IPD or?
IPD.
Okay. You don't want to say the name.
And says, excuse me, hey, excuse me, hey. And I look over and I said, are you talking to me? And he's like, yeah, I need you outside now. I said, do you not see we're busy right now? Well, I need you outside. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the nurses said something. I'm not real sure. I think it was like, hey, you know. But I left and went outside, and he wanted me to look in my car to see if there was another phone that Shane might have missed.
And we don't have to mention names, but you know which officer.
Yes.
Okay. So, like I
Yeah,
said,
and
that
that's
can be handled in court.
Yeah.
So they were more interested in the phones he had
yes.
for connections to what they thought he had.
Yes.
Suspicious activity, right?
Yes.
Where's the probable cause on that? So anyway, basically, how do you feel? Do you think they let your son die?
I do.
They could get his phones?
I do. Well, I think that...
I'm not saying that. What do you
No,
feel about it?
No, this is what I feel. I feel that they let him die. I don't know if they had anything to do with it or not, but I'm just weighing all the possibilities. Because they thought he knew of a robbery that happened, and he wouldn't tell. He wouldn't tell on who done it if he knew. And I think they didn't like that. And they had been harassing him.
When he was young, what kind of a kid was he?
He was a really good kid. He was sick all the time. He did get in some trouble. And actually, the first time he ever got in trouble, he didn't do it. He was home in bed.
Yeah.
And he got blamed for it anyways. And there was a video, and I took it to court, and they wouldn't let me show it.
Lawrence County Court?
Yes.
Oh, God, okay.
And it's hard to...
That's all you got to say right there.
Yeah, and, it just turned him... Them doing him like that, it kind of... They either go one way or the other.
It's kind of like a bully in school. It's kind of like a bully in grade school.
Yes.
It's kind of like a bully in high school. Once you're bullied, you're weak. They weaken you until they can take advantage of you. This is what happens here. Okay, so anyway, go ahead.
And I think it made him think, well, whether you do it or you don't,
you're gonna be
accused of it,
right.
and you're gonna get in trouble for it, because he got sent to the group home for something he didn't do.
The group home down here,
Yeah.
where Frisch's is.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
So it just tore him. That right there, right off the rip.
That changed the whole impact of his life.
Yes, it did. It really did. So yeah, he had a little bit of, but now he got along with people. And as far as I know, he got along with most of them. He got along with most of the policemen.
Did they ever, to your knowledge, they ever pull him over and ask him any questions prior to this? Do you know? Or
well, they asked him all about it when they caught him in that house. They didn't even talk to him really about being in the abandoned house.
They arrest him for it?
Yes.
And they charge him with being in an abandoned house?
Yes.
Did anybody else in the abandoned house when they took him?
That guy left.
Okay, how convenient.
Yes, that guy left. He didn't get charged for it.
In my 13 years of being a police officer, I've never charged anybody with living in an abandoned house. That would be not up to the police officer. That'd be up to the owner of the property. Okay.
Right. But yeah, actually they indicted him, but it was after he died.
Okay. Let me get this straight. Your son passed away,
mm-hmm.
and then after he passed away, how long was it for a grand jury indicted him? Why would they indict him after he's already passed?
I have a theory.
To cover up something, maybe?
Yeah, I have a theory about that too.
Yeah, I do too already.
Yeah.
But
it was hours. I found him at around 9:30, 9:45 in the morning, and I was called and told that Shane had just been indicted for being in an abandoned house, and that was at like 4 o'clock that afternoon.
The same day
The
your
same
son
day.
passed.
The same day.
They indicted a deceased male,
Yes.
your son, for being in an abandoned house.
Yes.
Do you know who the judge was? Let's go ahead and say it.
I don't know who the judge
What,
was.
Lawrence County Municipal Court?
Yes, it was
Okay.
Lawrence County. All this
Okay.
was in Lawrence County and Ironton.
Okay. Well, we'll look into that. And listen, you feel up to doing 3 or 4 more segments?
Yeah.
Okay. And we're going to get in depth with it about how the emotional trauma has affected you. If you want to do that right now, I know earlier you broke down here, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be,
It's okay.
you know, drag things out of your mouth. I just want you
Yeah.
to tell your story. But you guys, this is Beth Rist, Ironton, Ohio. I'm here with Jeannie Norris and talking about her son that was declared an accidental overdose. You just heard her story, and we will be back in 48 hours. Thank you. God bless. Now, I'm going to get up and come around there because I ain't got my remote hooked up, okay? It is what it is. You okay, Jeannie?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.